Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this evening's event. We're going to talk about homeschool transcripts and all things related to preparing your academic records for your homeschooling student that may be preparing for life after homeschooling. So we'll give a few minutes for everyone to start filtering in and joining us this evening. It looks like we have a really great turnout. We're glad you're here. If you'd like to leave a note in the chat about where you're joining from, we'd love to hear from you and know where you are around the world. We are here as representatives of Scholé Academy and Classical Academic Press. I'm Allison Haley, and I serve as the operations coordinator here at Scholé Academy. Classical Academic Press is our parent organization and publisher for homeschool curriculum and K-12 resources. So I also want to mention that I'm joined this evening by our registrar at Scholé Academy, Nancy Parcells. She's going to be manning the chat and helping us with links and the Q&A and preparing that for later in the evening as well. Our guest for this evening, our main event is, like I mentioned, all about homeschool transcripts. And so we are grateful to have Joan Girkins with us this evening. She brings a wealth of experience and resources that you do not want to miss. And we will get to hear more from her in just a few minutes. I'm going to begin by sharing my screen and just sharing a couple of announcements as we get started. The first one that I'm going to share with you is, as I mentioned, about our parent organization. So we are here as part of Classical Academic Press. Classical Academic Press publishes, as I mentioned, K-12 resources from wonder to wisdom, resources for Latin and logic and many, many homeschool subjects. A lot of those resources also have K-12 courses online that we service over at Scholé Academy, and so I would like to take you over there for just a moment as well. You can find a list of all of the courses that we serve at Scholé Academy here by exploring all of our courses on the All Courses page. Joan is going to feature a few of them, and she gave me a sneak peek into what she's going to be sharing this evening. And I won't give it away, but it is one of our very popular courses for high school students. And she's going to be walking you through here and mentioning the subjects that we offer at Scholé Academy and how you're going to be able to use some of those in your transcripting resources. I'm going to give you one more sneak peek before we talk more about Joan and her background this evening, and that is for our online summer courses. This is brand new, fresh information that actually hasn't even been released yet. Beginning April 1st, we will release our summer online courses, and you can look for that information to come out on our website under courses, and there will be a link on April 1st for our summer collection of camps and workshops and clubs and great ways to get your K-12 student connected with others who enjoy good conversations and good camaraderie around common interests. So we have a lot of book clubs organized by age and grade level. We have special interests such as cooking and baking and various arts, common and creative arts, unique studies such as missions and geography, chemistry of cooking. I'm just going to mention a few as we go. There are too many to talk about all of them. But under our kind of action-oriented purposeful play, we have two very popular courses, especially Introduction to the Fantastic World of Tabletop RPG Games, and the advanced level as well. So those are certainly notable. And as I mentioned, all of these will be available for you to look at in depth beginning April 1st. Okay. All right, a couple of other announcements. Classical Academic Press also has a service line for educators and parents who are homeschooling and would like to kind of up their game and increase their skills and depth of knowledge when educating their own children or other students in the K-12 world. And so I would like to mention Classical U. Nancy is going to put that link in the chat now. We not only offer the courses for K-12 students through Scholé Academy, but Classical U offers courses for adults as well. The courses are recorded and you can take those at your own pace. And there are other live opportunities as well. So be sure to check that out at classicalu.com. All right. So those are our big announcements for this evening. And now I am delighted to introduce you to our speaker for this evening. I have been working in the homeschool space for many, many years, and there are a few topics that parents have kind of frequently brought up again and again and have sought some guidance for, and transcripts, homeschool academic records is definitely up there at the top of the list. Joan came to us and shared some of the sources that she has developed that she's going to share with you this evening. And we definitely knew that this was something that our families here at Scholé Academy and in the broader CAP audience can benefit from. So I'm going to read to you a little bit about her bio that she shared with us. She said, "My name is Joan Girkins, and for 20 years, my husband and I have homeschooled our 4 children. All of our children attended their first choice colleges and earned their degrees. Our 2 sons-in-law and our daughter-in-law and our soon-to-be daughter-in-law are all homeschool graduates. We currently have 5 grandchildren, and those who are school-aged are being homeschooled. All of our children have expressed their desire to homeschool our future grandchildren as well. God is truly good. During the high school years, record keeping was difficult. We can definitely all relate to that. I was constantly updating several programs and worksheets with our children's latest academics and achievements, and it was definitely a challenge. My desire was to one day design a place where families could create, manage, and store all of their students' records in one convenient location. Sounds like a dream, and maybe too good to be true, but we'll see. I think Joan has some great things to share with us. In July of 2023, that desire became a reality when Homeschool Records website was complete. I'm happy to say that Homeschool Records was created by a homeschool mom specifically for homeschool moms. So Joan, is there anything else that you'd like to add or follow up with on your bio? It's great to meet you and hear kind of about your history and your desire to help moms.
Well, thank you, Allison. I really appreciate it. And I'm so grateful that Lord crossed my path with Scholé Academy because it is just such an excellent program. And hearing about all the new stuff coming on, it makes me even more excited. So, but that kind of leads me into a little bit extra information I wanted to share, which was, I basically, when I designed Homeschool Records, I had 4 goals. The first of all, I wanted to create a site that would teach homeschool moms how to build a transcript as they were actually building it. And through that, then the moms would have confidence that, they can build a transcript and they can provide, professional documentation to colleges. So I wanted it to be unique in that way, and that it was a teaching site as well as a building site. But the second thing was I wanted the documents that were created to be professional looking. When we go apply for jobs, we would take a lot of time as adults. We would put together a resume, make sure the format is right, that type of thing. And I wanted our students, because they have worked so hard and the parents have worked hard, I wanted to create documents that represented the work that everybody has put into their education. And I just like in the last month, I heard back from 2 moms whose students were got a congressional nomination for the service academy for them to apply to service academies. And they were both thankful and said they felt that the professional documentation they provided that they created from Homeschool Records had an impact on the congressman to allow them to be nominated. So that was warming my heart. But then the third thing I wanted was the site to be intuitive. As homeschool moms, we don't have a lot of time. And so, I was spending all kinds of time trying to do different things and put the documents together, and then, visiting different sites and trying to navigate to do things. It was just, you could get lost in the website. And I did not want that to happen. I wanted it you always to know where you were, where you were going to get in, do what you needed to do, and then be able to get out in a timely manner. And then lastly, I want to make it affordable, for homeschool families. I'm grateful to the Lord that I don't need this to put food on the table. I'm grateful to that. My husband was a hard worker, and uh, I'm married to a literal rocket scientist who is now retired and will be celebrating in a couple weeks here 37 years, our anniversary. So I'm grateful that I could make it affordable, for homeschool records or for homeschool families. So I'm just happy that I feel like my four goals were accomplished, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, fantastic. Those simplicity and just easy navigation, intuitive, not wasting time, those sound like spot on needs. I have two of my own students that I've launched through homeschooling and done the whole college process, and I have two more at home, and I've learned a lot with each one. And it
Hmm.
is very time consuming to create your own documents and try to fine tune them and make sure you don't make calculation errors and set up, all the things. And I have tried to walk with a few friends through it, and just explaining it to others in a way that's helpful can be a challenge. And so
Hmm.
having something you can say, hey, this is what we do, and it's super easy, and I'm sure you can do it too. All you got to do is just, follow the prompts, and it will guide you through the process. Sounds like an answer that I've needed in the past, and I haven't had to give people until today. So
Hmm.
um, I know that when I've set up my own transcripts, that there's been a few areas that are particularly difficult to think through and make sure that I'm doing right. And I know
Hmm.
kind of grouping courses and giving those the right coding or the right labels in ways that the admissions departments will receive them, and really, like you
Hmm.
said, about being a professionally represented document, that they will understand the amount of effort that we've put into our courses and our studies together. And we want these transcripts to reflect that. So I want to make sure I'm labeling my courses right, and that I'm working with credits in the right way, calculating weighted, all those things, the numbers. So can you talk
Hmm.
to us about how you can help us make that simple?
Sure, sure. That's a great question. And I'm going to start with, um, assigning credits is really kind of the basis, because you need to know how many credits each course is going to be first. And so I created this document, and I'm going to post in the chat after right now when I'm sharing screen. I can't see where to put the chat, but actually, yes, I can. I'm going to put a share link in here, that anyone can access this document anytime. It's a very simple document. I've done research. HSLDA has some general recommendations. There aren't any laws that say thou must do and thou shalt have to do it this way. So this having a guide helps. And so, what constitutes credit, or how do we assign a credit? The general rule of thumb is if you have a full year course, a core course, meaning like math, English, science, the core subject areas. If it's a full year course, it's very traditional to assign that course one high school credit. Now, different states do have different credit values. For example, in California, the schools there, a full year course is 10 credits. It's kind of silly
Wow.
to me, but
Yeah.
if you can standardize according to your state. So, I talked with another mom who I believe it's Indiana, where a full year course is 2 credits. So you can use your state as a guideline, or you can just use a standard 1 credit course. If your student is applying to a college and they've come from, say, a public school or a private school in California, and they're getting 50 million credits from all their courses, and then they see your transcript with 1 credit, it isn't a detriment to your student to standardize and just give it 1 credit. They'll just recognize the different credit values that are assigned in different states and by different schools. And as homeschoolers, you are the principal of your school, so you can determine how you want to do that. So a full year course that's a core standard course is 1 credit. For an elective course, So something like if you were doing a home economics course or you were some type of elective, if you're in a debate club and you want to assign credit for something that isn't a standard course, you can go by hours. And so 120 hours or more, what HSLDA says is roughly on average, if you're doing it 4 hours a week, throughout the whole school year, you're going to get to about 150 hours. And so in that ballpark, and it doesn't mean you have to do it that event weekly
Mhm.
at 4 hours. That's just a guideline of how do you get to this number because it sounds like, oh, that's a lot of hours, but that's kind of how it works out. So if it's something that's less than that, then you can scale it accordingly and assign a half credit or whatever. Science credit with a lab, and this is really important that, and we'll see when we look at the Scholé Academy course I'll be looking at. It's very important if your course includes a lab to list that as a course with a science course with a lab because many colleges want to see at least two science courses with a lab in high school. So and again, if it's a standard curriculum, like what, and I don't mean that Scholé is standard, but it's above board.
Mhm.
It's you would easily, you don't have to worry about the hours. You would be able to assign it one credit, but list it with a lab, and I'll show you that. For college courses, it's very interesting. If you're in a dual enrollment or concurrent enrollment program or an AP, any type of source where you are earning, your students earning college credit. Typically, if we look at a dual enrollment or a concurrent enrollment course, they're typically a semester course. Now, you have the option as principal of your school. It's not illegal or immoral if you want to assign a full credit to a one semester college course. However, you don't have to do that. You can keep it at a half credit, and then we'll talk about GPA weighting. You alluded to that a little bit,
Mhm.
Allison, and we'll talk
Yeah.
about that. But when I've worked with families that are applying specifically to kind of more elite colleges, the Stanford, the Tufts University, they have communicated to the homeschool families that they really want to see a half credit. If it's a one semester course, you give it a half credit because the GPA is going to get weighted already from it being dual enrollment. And so it's not necessary, if you will, to give it a full credit, and they really prefer a half credit. So just you have the option. I mean, they're not going to reject your student if you give it a full credit for the dual enrollment course, but I like to help families just standardize the transcript to make it easy for the college to evaluate what our student has
Right.
done. Because the last thing we want to do is have an administrator, a registrar of a college our students applying to have to sit there and try and figure out what in the world are they trying to tell me that their student did. So we try to most of our students' lives we've tried to like not fit in a box, but there's times where
Mhm.
it's good to fit in that box that they're used to.
Right.
So yeah, um, at this point we can start digging into the transcript itself. So that's the first basis, is having those credits in mind, and it's really pretty simple. Um, So this is, you log into Homeschool Records, and this is your dashboard. I would just say I have the site set up. Part of the teaching aspect is when you first access any screen, like if this was my first time registering and I access my dashboard for the first time, there'd be a short video that pops up that shows you how to navigate through Homeschool Records. And then you watch the video and it's like, okay, I get it. And now you go to enter a course for the first time, another short video is going to pop up to show you how to, enter courses and whatnot. So all of those videos are located in the help section here, so that if you happen to, accidentally click out and you're like, oh no, where did the video go? I have short videos here to show you how to, this is part of the teaching aspect, how to
Mhm.
use the site. But we're just going to dig in here. The heart of course, record keeping is the transcript. Okay. Now, through The way I have this set up, I was telling you one of my goals is that for it to be a teaching site. So it's not just the videos, but it's here. We'll go to the first course here. And I'm not going to enter it yet. I'm just going to kind of give you an overview, and then we'll dig in um, with a Scholé Academy course. But here, right here, when you select your semester, you can see here's fall, spring, and summer. I'm teaching you something and you don't even realize it, but someone might say, well, this is a full year course. Why can't I
Mhm.
enter a full year course? Well, the reason is because there are colleges like Hillsdale College, for example, that want to see the courses listed by semester on your transcript. They don't want just a single column with their full year. They want to see it broken out by semester. Many of the service academies are like that, NCAA requirements for athletes, like I said, certain colleges. So I designed it then so you would start and do it by semester. Okay, and we'll talk about that in a little bit when I show you go through a course. This other area here is the course category. Think of that as the subject area. You have math, English, science, history, the specifics. But if there's a category here that, and with Scholé, we'll look at this in a moment, you have some unique course category names. You have the option of selecting a more traditional subject area, and we'll go into that in a moment. But if you want to keep it specific and have it mirror like Scholé, you can just place your cursor and type in your specific subject area. Like, for an example, grammar. Um, Typically, in these subject areas here are like the subject English. That's a big umbrella that under English you could put a grammar course, an English composition, literature. Literature can fall under the umbrella of the subject English. But you have the option, and again, you could put your course category, just type in grammar, and then tab over to the course name and type in that specific course name. But again, I have this set up to kind of teach you like, oh, okay, course category, that's a subject. Now I have some preloaded items here for the course name itself. So under arts, there's drama, film production. And again, if you have something in the arts that isn't listed as a course, you can select the title of arts and then just tab over and type in your custom name if you would like. You're not limited to these things. So through these drop down menus, I'm preloaded. I'm kind of showing you, teaching you how you're building this transcript. And now the next area is obviously the grade level. This transcript, you can start at eighth grade. There are some courses that eighth grade students do that can be considered high school level. So you have the option if you want to create a 5-year transcript. I will just say that's not standard for colleges. And in the little video that would pop up, I would explain to you to say, I would recommend making it a 4-year transcript. And if there is any subject that your student did in eighth grade that could be considered high school level, let's say if they took Algebra 1 in eighth grade, you could list it put it in ninth grade. And down here is the footnote section. And you would just type in completed in eighth grade. And then you'd have a standard 4-year transcript, but you'd list appropriately all of the high school credit your student has completed.
Mm.
Okay. And then over here, the next one, we have course type. So again, the teaching aspect, this is a standard course. There's no weighting required for a standard course. An honors course gets weighted by an extra half point. Now, again, I'm teaching you this, but the software is going to do it for you. There's nowhere that you're going to have to do calculations or anything like that with homeschool records. It's all being done for you, but I want to educate you. And so that's why I have it set up this way. If it's an AP course, then that again gets weighted with an extra point because it results in college credit. Here, if it's a dual enrollment course, now you see this pops up. Please enter a college name. That's a mandatory field. So if it's a college name, if it's, I'm sorry, dual enrollment, you would type in the college that your student took the course through, and that would show up in the footnote identifying, and the dual enrollment would automatically add the 1 point. When it does come to dual enrollment, though, for the course name, I strongly recommend you would type in the college course code, number, and name. So, for example, if your student is doing English Comp 1 through a particular college, you would call this ENGL 1133 Comp 1 or whatever the college calls it. And here's why. Because when you create this transcript and you've identified this dual enrollment and it's taken through Southeastern University, I won't go through all the things, but um, once you want to have your high school transcript have all of the courses your students done in high school. But if it's a college course, when you send the high school transcript off to a college your student's applying to, you're also going to request the college your student took the course to send your student's official transcript to the college that they're applying to. Now, here I am a registrar at ABC University your student applies to. I have your high school transcript on my desk. I have the college transcript on my desk. When I look at this and I see ENGL 1133 Comp 1 was taken in 10th grade in the fall semester and your student got an A, I see the college transcript with that same information. By labeling the college courses with the same college course code, number, name, you've just made my job as a registrar so easy to evaluate your student. And again, this is all about helping the college know your student and not having them pause on the wrong things. We want them to dwell on, look at this documentation and what an excellent student you have. That's what we want them to dwell on, not like, what are you trying to tell me what to do?
Right.
Okay. Um,
I have a quick question on that,
yes,
Joan, if I can
sure.
stop and ask you.
Of
So,
course.
with dual credit courses, is it important to list the modality in any way? Like this was an online course, or this was a blended course, hybrid, or is any of that kind of information helpful?
I would say the only reason it would be helpful would be if on the college transcript there was some type of designation that showed if they're showing it like this was done
Okay.
online or this was done in a hybrid, whatever, if they're showing it
Mhm.
that way, you want to match that. But if they're not, then there just isn't a good, it doesn't really matter because
Yeah,
you've just
yeah.
got the credit. But that's an excellent question, Allison.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. So if we go to the next field here, the grade, and you can choose in the software with Homeschool Records, you can choose either letter or percentages. I've chosen to set it for a letter grade because that's the most traditional, what colleges are used to seeing. But you can go back and forth, and if you switch it in your account, Homeschool Records will automatically calculate, change it to a percentage or change it to a letter grade, whichever you want. But in this field, it's not, again, teaching. It's not just entering the grade, but you can see there's the option of in progress or planned. So I'm going to pretend that I'm putting together my student's transcript. It's the end of their junior year in high school, and it's at the end of the junior year and right into the fall semester of senior year where the applications are starting to colleges. You're doing the college a tremendous service and your student a tremendous service if you enter their fall semester courses that you have planned, or even the spring as well, their senior year, enter in the fall and spring courses as planned. And that way, and then when you send the transcript, there's a cumulative GPA and cumulative credits from 9 through 11, but their college is also able to look ahead to see what's your student planning on doing, right?
Mhm.
And so you can mark those courses as planned, and then as they complete the courses, and I'll show you at the bottom here in a moment, but as once they complete that course at the end of the fall semester, you'll go in and edit the course and change that grade from planned to the grade that they achieved, and then that will go into the GPA as well. And what you'll see here, if I mark something as in progress or planned, you notice that the credits gray out. That's because when you are in progress, you cannot assign credits, again, teaching, you cannot assign credits to a course until it's been completed. So if we don't gray this out and you say, oh, well, they are going to earn a half credit once it's completed, that assigning it credit before you assign a grade, that's going to impact the GPA in the wrong way. And it's going to show those credits, cumulatively, and you don't want to do that. So that's why that grays out. But that's where you'll assign those credits. And then we'll come down here. And if you want to put together course descriptions, and I recommend you do, because again, we want to give colleges the full picture of our student. And I've been working with colleges for 15 years now, helping families in a variety of colleges. And more, especially since COVID, the
Mm.
the message from colleges is they absolutely love homeschoolers and they want to recruit them because they are good students. They finish what they start. They they actually really help the college marketing statistics, which is, hey, this percentage of our students that start at our college finish at our college, and they finish a degree in this amount of time. And homeschoolers tend to do that. The barrier that sometimes can happen is, and I've heard colleges actually say this, where they're like, we love homeschoolers, we just don't understand them. And so you need to help us help you. And so when you can provide when we provide a transcript, it shows the academic achievements of our students. The course description tells you what's behind those courses that we listed on that transcript. And so it helps the colleges understand what kind of academics our student had. So again, under teaching and also in terms of not getting lost in the database and clicking all over the place, it's all in one space. Okay, so courses and course description. Um, so I ask you these prompts. These are the things that colleges want to know about your courses. Is it a core or is it an elective? Were there prerequisites for this course? What kind of materials did you use, which are the textbooks? What type of assessments were used that are behind that grade your student achieved? And then a course description. Okay, so once you don't have to do the course description, so you can just put the courses in up above and just click submit. This is not required. But if you do choose to use a course description, and we're going to show it, and I'll show you in a moment how you need to add the fall semester of a course for half credit and the spring semester half credit. But if you're going to do a course description, you only enter it once. You don't need to enter all that information for the fall and the spring, just once. Okay. And then you submit, and down here are the courses that I've pre-entered some of these things, and we'll go over these features right here in a moment. But so this is where if something was planned or in progress, and then later the student finishes it, you would just click on the edit button for that, pull it up, and enter the grade from planned or in progress to the grade they
Mhm.
achieved. Okay.
So, like, if you're setting it up, let's say in September, and you aren't going to complete the course till December, this would be a good how you would come in and you would update that at the end of the term. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. And parents are, there's different situations for when you're setting up the transcript. So if the student is, if you're doing it like in the fall semester of the senior year and you're creating the transcript at that point to send off to a college, because some admissions aren't
Mhm.
until October or November or something like that of the senior year, then you would mark the courses as in progress. And then the spring semester you would load is planned. And then,
Yes.
yes, after the fall semester, you would go in, and we'll cover that in just a moment. So I'm gonna refresh this for a moment, and we're gonna go to let's go to the courses page here. And so this was very interesting here. We talked about the subject, and you can see all these different subject areas where it's more granular, right, with
Mhm.
Scholé, and that's
Right.
great. And so you could enter a course, you could just call it literature and instead of English as your subject. But again, just you can either do either or, but I would choose one way or the other. How are you going to list them? Are you going to list like English as the umbrella subject and then the literature course, specific literature course as the course name? Or are you going to use this subject and the subject is literature and then the specific literature course? It really doesn't matter either way. It could start to get a little with some of these other like more classical
Mhm.
terms. If you had a subject area of liturgical arts, there may be a college that's like, that's really interesting. What is that? And so that's where putting something like this under electives or
Mhm.
something like that would be more standard for the college to be able to interpret. So I just wanted to show you this and tell you you can go either way, just go all in on whichever way you're
Mhm.
going to do. Um, but I wanted to choose this American government course to enter. And here's why, because it's an interesting course. I see that it is a year-long course. So according to my credits chart, year-long, this falls American government kind of falls under the umbrella of social studies. Under social studies, you have American government, US history, world history. So you see that, but then and I'm trying to think where I saw. Oh, note. This is a once a week course that runs throughout the school year and is the equivalent of a semester course. So I thought this is a really good one to give it as an example for the Scholé Academy families. So we're going to go back to homeschool records, and because it's a full year, we're going to start here in the fall semester and we're going to enter the course. I'm going to choose to do it under social studies, and I'm just going too fast. And so I selected those so it pre-populates both of them. I'm going to say my students taking it in 10th grade. It's a 9th through 12th grade. So it's up to you. I'm going to talk for a second about honors. I've done so much research over the years, and what I've discovered is that there is no standardization of what defines an honors course. So, one high school I've called several high schools, and I said, how did you deem this one course? What makes this honors over your standard course? And one of the high schools I called, they said, well, it's just like our standard course, but we go into more depth for the honors course. Okay. And I call another high school, ask the same question. Well, our honors course is just like our standards course, but we add more assignments to the honors courses than the standard courses. So the bottom line is you are principal of your school. You define as long as you can be prepared, and you should be. Every homeschool parent should be prepared to defend their transcript if anyone asks questions. So if there's something in the Scholé Academy materials or whatever that you feel is more rigorous and you can define that, then mark it honors. But all you have to do is be prepared to defend it. You don't have to worry and think about, well, I can defend it. I know why I deemed it honors and I could tell them that, but what's that registrar going to think of my defense? Well, you have no control over that. So keep that off your radar. Okay. So I'm going to just mark this as honors. I'm going to say my student achieved an A, but I'm going to put in the note here, I'm going to make a note that this was achieved through Scholé Academy. Okay. Um, and now this was a full year course, but it has the credit of a semester. So I'm going to add a quarter credit so that when I add it for the spring, then it's going to have a total of a half credit, but it's going to be reflected accurately as a full year course. So that's how you would do that. Um, Now, if I want to do the course description, this is a core class. I mean, social studies is a core subject area. I'll say there were no prerequisites. When it comes to the material used, you guys have such a great setup. Scholé Academy has done so many great things for you guys. You can copy and paste this particular one. Books and supplies are not included. Oh, here we go. These are the course materials right here. These are the texts. You just copy from here and you paste. These are the materials.
Mhm.
Um, Type of assessments. I know you all know better than I do. I know you can request a grade from a teacher. You would work this out with your Scholé Academy teacher as far as what type of assessments or whatever that were used. But you could just fill if it was just recitation, and class participation. I'll just put that in here. And then the course description, you've got that provided for you right here. Now you don't have to put all of this in here. You can cut and paste just different pieces. I'm just going to just do this little piece here so that you guys can see um, that you could just paste that in. And now I'm going to submit. So there we just added a course. We've got the course description. We did a very short period of time. All of the different menus are set up this way, whether you're creating a resume, anything else, it's all guided within here. And then when you're ready to generate the report, you come over here to the report screen. So we added some course descriptions and I added some courses previously. I can click on this button. You can select it by grade, or I'm just going to do a complete course descriptions list. And again, the professional formatting, auto-populating things with your student's name and their email and the important things. Oops, I'm so sorry. And then you can just come down here. It's got all the materials that we posted in there, and you could just print to PDF and download that document. And then when it comes time to apply to colleges and you're uploading, you're just taking those documents from your computer and you're uploading them into the proper place for the application process. For the transcript, you can come here to the transcript report. You have the option to print, to list your courses by subject, by year or semester. You could do just a semester report if your students applied to colleges and the college says, just send us an update at the end of the semester. You could just do a single semester report, or you could do the whole transcript again at the end of the semester. And you could do by year, by subject. If you wanted that, just by year, 4 columns straight, these are all the courses, you can choose that format. Or the most common, if a college doesn't specify, the year semester report is the standard for that. Under memberships or accreditations, I put, you can say that you're a part of Scholé Academy. This type of thing is colleges like to see that homeschooled students aren't just like, you have these crazy ideas that people have, like we just keep them in our home and slide pizza under the door when they have to be fed. And, it's just like, no, they're very engaged students. And so it's good to highlight these things that were done. You could see down here, there's that Scholé Academy note. It automatically footnoted it for me. I had added another footnote previously for something else the student did. It automatically puts it in the proper footnote order, in the order that the courses, like these Scholé Academy courses were put in for ninth grade. And so then the next one goes to number 2. It automatically does that. You can digitally sign, date your transcript. And I do have a contract with Parchment, which is the transcript service that
Mhm.
colleges use for college to college. And you can send your transcript. A funny story about Parchment. I had a mom that Parchment costs they charge like $10 to send a
Mhm.
transcript. And this one mom was like, well, I'm going to try saving the $10. She printed a PDF, saved her transcript, emailed it to the college, and she got an email from the college saying, well, okay, we're all set, except we haven't received your student's official transcript. And she's like, I sent you the official transcripts. It's digitally signed, it's dated, even says at the top, this official high school transcript. They're like, nope, we haven't received, we need your official transcript. So she goes into homeschool records, pulls up the same transcript, sends to Parchment, goes into Parchment, sends it, and they're like, thank you, we have all your documents.
Yeah.
So
What a great assurance, though. I mean, after all the work that your students done, it would be terrible if they got, lost in the digital shuffle of files or misassociated with the wrong student. Yeah, it's that
exactly.
extra
It,
insurance.
Exactly. So I'm not going to dip into the other one to save time for questions, but I did want to just show you that just real briefly, like the resume where you create the activities, awards, and achievements for your student for that other piece. Again, it's teaching the same way. You choose the category. Was it an award, a competition? Did they do a job? And you put the title and you fill this all out, same kind of format. And then you come to the reports and just click on your student resume, um, and you have a professionally formatted transcript that you can
Mm,
download and then send off to colleges as well. So the site is done the same. Again, you always know where you're at. You can go back anytime to a different screen, go back to the dashboard. Um, what I did forget to show you that's very important on that American government course that I did here, it's fall, but you also need to enter spring. So rather than enter in all that data, you can use the duplicate feature
mm,
and it will automatically duplicate that for you to the spring semester. But it won't duplicate the grade. It will mark it automatically as planned. And
mm,
so, again, when you're doing fall courses and then spring, you don't have to go in and keep entering stuff, and it will do that. And once it's done, you edit it. I have on this account, we have Debbie Jones and her brother David. And David is younger, and he came along and did that same course through Scholé the next year. And so, what you could do here is choose that fall and spring course, and you can share that with David, so you don't have to re-enter all that information for
mm.
David. The course descriptions will get shared, but the grades don't get shared. So once David then completes his course, you can go in and edit his courses once he has achieved the grade. So again, making it simple, saving you time without having to just keep re-entering things over and over again.
Absolutely. Yeah, what a time saver. As you were building out those courses, the material off of the front side of our website was just so ready to go, and
Oh,
I love how you just put it right in there. It also made me think that all of our courses are hosted in Canvas, and then once the course starts, the instructor shares a full syllabus with the family as well.
mm-hmm,
So there's some
mm-hmm.
additional information that can be pulled directly from the syllabus too, especially regarding assessments and more granular details about resources and things like that. So, our families would have a wealth of information ready to go for the courses that they take with us.
And that's the beauty. That's something that, families that don't have courses like Scholé Academy,
Mhm.
they've got to, and you can copy and paste from like Saxon Math or something from a website, but to have everything at your fingertips, that then the college, if they wanted to dig in deeper, they could go to your website and they're seeing the same information there and giving them confidence that yes, this is a very rigorously, academically rigorous course.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I also love how you affirmed the parent as the principal. We have a lot of families that reach out to us and they want their transcript. Nancy's shaking her head because she's the one that, takes these calls frequently. And we just kind of guide parents in their grades are in Canvas, but we affirm them as the transcript holder because we are partners with them in their homeschooling journey, and we don't usurp parents in any way. And the transcript is a really critical part of that, that parents remain in control of their documentation and academic records for their homeschool student when they take courses with us. So I think that's
Absolutely, and
really
it's the transcript that backs up the diploma.
right.
So whoever's issuing the transcript is graduating that student. And so it
Mhm.
helps to reminders to remember and think like a school. We are the principal of our schools, and you can even with homeschool records, I had a graphic designer design a whoops, I don't have that ready there, but you can do a diploma and download that for your student. It'll
Very.
auto populate. So you can do everything to graduate your student from your homeschool, and it's legal and it's excellent. Do it with excellence.
Yeah. Yeah, I love how the documents really reiterate that um, level of excellence and professionalism. Nancy, let's take a look at the chat box here. Do you want to draw the first question to our attention, Nancy, that might be good to start with for the evening?
I am not seeing any questions.
Okay. I um I have a couple in my Q&A box, so I guess I'll just start there. It looks like there are questions about eighth grade and what counts as a high school level course? How do you know? You mentioned Algebra 1. I've had families ask me about Latin in particular. And you mentioned another course. What was, I don't remember what the other course was, but you had some in mind that are typical eighth grade courses, but would definitely qualify more as high school level. So talk us through that.
Yeah, so again, as principal of your school,
Mhm.
you can determine that. Sometimes it's easy. Like Algebra 1 is a traditional high school math course, so nobody would question that.
Mhm.
But something like the Latin, you the idea is you have to be prepared and comfortable defending that transcript. So if it were me, one thing I would do is research a common Latin curriculum that's used in a high school, or if Memoria Press says this can be used, from eighth grade through 12th grade, if you considered either one, then there's your confidence, like, okay, if this could be used in high school as well. So there isn't it just the with integrity, the criteria is the content needs to be considered high school level curriculum, level content. However, that's determined. So there's not, it's kind of like the honors. It's not a black and white thing, but you just have to be prepared to defend it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love how you reference kind of just going to the publisher's site. I'm going to share my screen for one
Mhm.
second and just look back at our classical academic press site. And as I mentioned, we have K-12 resources, so a wealth of things that our families might be using. So we could go here, to our Latin Alive line and look at a particular book. Could look at the Latin one and look at, I believe it's under specifications. Um, for the specific grade level, where this is a 3-year series. I'm not getting my finger right on it quickly. So typically it might be on the parent edition on the teacher's guide, but it will say the grade levels. It'll say, grades 7 through 12. And I think that's what you're talking about, Joan, right? Is the
Yes.
actual reference that's on the publisher, and it's often in the front of
Yes.
the textbook as well. So great. That's a really concrete way to get an answer to that question.
Hmm.
Okay. Um, let's look at a couple of others here. I'm seeing one about state recommendations. So, do you think it's good for families to look at state Department of Education requirements? Like, say your state says you should have 4 credits of math and 3 credits of science. Is that a good baseline to guide their planning? Or as homeschoolers, should we just kind of think really out of the box? Where should homeschoolers fit?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and I would take a step back from that to say, um, when we were homeschooling, we felt our goal was to help each one of our individual kids achieve their academic potential while they were in high school.
Mhm.
And so for one of my sons, he was not gifted in math at all. And so his capability, he ended with algebra 2. So with him, it was just kind of like, okay, we're going to get everything on there. Let's get an algebra 1 credit. Let's get some math finance on there and algebra 2, so because you don't want it to not just because that isn't his strength, you don't want it to come across as a weakness in the transcript. And
Mhm.
so, but
Right.
then I had my younger two, daughter and son, went to engineering school and they did, advanced physics and calculus and all the things. And it was like, well, we just took the most recent 4 years of their highest level math and science and put that on the transcript, in that way. So
Mhm.
it's like, yes, I mean, if you're just curious, if you're like, gee, what would colleges, what are other students in the state doing, and what would the high schools require? Most often, their bar is pretty low as
Mhm.
far as their academic requirements, and the colleges don't. They're not looking for the average student. They get thousands of applicants from brains on paper, which is what I call
Mhm.
most transcripts. They're looking for whole students. So I would say if it helps you gain some confidence, like, oh, okay, well, we've got this,
Mhm.
4 years of math for these students, but you look at it too closely, then I could get stressed out like, oh no, my son can only do 2 credits of math. And how's
Mm.
that going to be, And so
Mhm.
it's really, you want to focus on communicating what your student has accomplished. And that's the most important thing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really good. Not a scarcity mentality, that it can be a list of abundance as long as it's
Hmm.
organized and
Right.
you've used the structure well. We have a question from Jennifer, and she's talking about having multiple courses within the same year that are by the same name. So let's say that your student might have completed Spanish 1 and Spanish 2 within the same academic year. Is that looked on negatively, or would that draw suspicion, or is that an okay thing to do?
No, that is perfectly fine to do that. And so, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm going to park that for a second to
Hmm.
use a different example. So let's just say that you have a student who, um, well, let me put it this way. It's okay to move things around on a transcript to standardize the transcript. So if maybe some student for whatever they did this subject area here, or I know one example. There may be a student who they've done ninth, 10th, 11th grade, and it's been extremely rigorous. And the student and the parents agree, you have enough courses and credits to graduate from high school.
Hmm.
You've done enough work. That's completely fine. Yes, they could put together a 3-year transcript and show all this work in there, but what a better thing to do would be to stretch that into 4 years, show the most recent, make the most recent year your student's senior year, and spread out that those the courses and whatnot over a period of 4 years, again, under the guise of standardizing the transcript, so you're not making the registrar work to figure out what in the world is going
Hmm.
on here. Now, that works for classes that are done, homeschool courses that you've done and whatnot. It does not work if your student does a dual enrollment course, or from a resource if they did some public school courses where
Hmm.
you're going to order an official transcript from that institution. Those courses are what I call anchors on the transcript. So those would have to be, not, you don't have to think grade like, well, 3 years he was a senior this year here, so it's got to be a senior and move it. It's like, no, it's in the calendar year and semester so that it matches the transcript being sent by the institution. So those
Hmm.
are anchors in the calendar year and semester, but the other things you can move around to standardize things. And sometimes it is helpful to do that, like in that scenario I just gave you.
Yeah, yeah, very helpful. Very helpful. Um, we have another one that's going to change gears a little bit. So, you mentioned the resumes and other ways to share the activities and things that your student has been a part of that really rounds them out and is not just the brain on paper, like you've
Mhm.
indicated a few times. So, what do you think about extracurriculars, maybe like mock trial? Is that a course? Is that extracurricular? Do you have any guidance there? Any rules of thumb that might be helpful?
Yeah, I've worked with a lot of families whose students are doing STOA or
Yes.
NCFCA. I forget all the acronyms of things. And so, again, as principal, you have the choice of how you want to cover the academics. I would say to have a course like call something speech and give them credit for that, give them credit for debate if you would like to do that. But then on the student resume, you're going to highlight, that's where you would highlight, competed in the Lincoln Douglas first place debate, earned first place in this debate, or even if they didn't achieve like that recognition, to put that on there, competed in this event and competed, and show those activities, show those different debates that they have participated in. um, there can come a point where it's like you've got a 20-page resume and the colleges are just getting burned out with reading all the things that you've been putting there. So you can,
Mhm.
if it's getting to be kind of bloated, which it can be when there's like every debate type of thing or something, just highlight the most important ones, the key ones, but still, again, you never want to shortchange exactly what your student has done either. So finding that balance of they don't want to read 20 pages of every single thing your student's
Yeah.
done, but that's how you can give them credit and recognition both for
Mhm.
something like that. Or robotics. You get credit for robotics, but then you show them, the competitions you were involved in.
Okay. Yeah, that's very helpful to use some filtering when deciding how much, and maybe based on the big picture of how many other things you're also including as
Exactly.
well in other areas of interest. We have another one, and we're getting really close here on our time, so we will just limit it here to the last couple of questions.
Sure. Hmm.
This one is about special needs students. So here at
Hmm.
Scholé Academy, we do have a tutoring center and a center for students with learning differences where we serve students year round
Hmm.
that need extra attention and guidance and special services. And so for families like that, or maybe in other circumstances where their student has a learning difference, how do we document that? What do you do in those situations?
Well, I think you treat the transcript the same. You document the academics that they've achieved. And so maybe their transcript won't be as robust with or rigorous, let's say, of the academics, but you still count those things. So, maybe they're not doing, calculus and the math, but maybe it's just a personal finance or something. But, there's a point where, the parent as principal, we can legally graduate our students. And so I just would say, appealing to the parent to uh, the criteria where you are comfortable with being able to graduate your student with integrity. And so there's no formula, there's nothing. You could check your state's requirements. Most states don't have like specific, thou must do this many credits and this many subjects and all of that. So, you just have to determine as a parent your comfort of how you can graduate them with integrity, but I would document everything the same.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's very helpful. Um, I keep hearing this theme of parent as administrator and a lot of autonomy in that, and also the ownership that comes with that, and
Hmm.
the um, the seriousness with which we want to take this information that's an official document and an official record with the goal of highlighting the student and their achievements,
Hmm.
whatever those are, and in whatever kind of level or arena you might want to kind of qualify them as. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
um, the last one is about foreign languages that I see. So let's talk for a minute about um, is any language okay? What about sign language? Are there any kinds of guidance or things to avoid when documenting foreign languages?
Yeah, unless there is some state requirement, which again, that's very
Mhm.
unusual, but I don't know every state requirement. In general, yeah, there isn't. ASL is, as far as, to my knowledge, I know a lot of families that document that as a foreign language because remember, we're talking high school credit and you being the principal of your school. So that is a legitimate considered a legitimate foreign language. Most colleges, if they even care about how much foreign language your student did when they're in high school, most colleges would want to see 2 consecutive years or semesters, if it's a college level, 2 consecutive years of the same foreign language. So to do like a year of Latin and a year of Spanish, you really want to try to get 2 years of that same foreign language, whether it's ASL, Latin. Now when it goes on, if they go on to a college and foreign language is required, then you're going to be at the mercy of what that college offers to get that credit. But for high school, you can you can choose whatever um, of those languages you'd like.
Okay. Fantastic. Joan, so helpful. Um, can you remind us again of the website where our families can go to find the information and a little bit about the pricing, and how they can get started with you?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to. Thank you. So you can go to, I'm going to go back, I'll log out of here. It's homeschoolrecords.com, and you can do a free trial. And the staff here, Allison and the staff there, can talk to you about through Scholé Academy a discount that is offered. But under my goal of making it affordable, it is $50 a year for a single student, $10 a year for each additional student within the same household, within the same family. So, and that 1 year subscription is good for however many students you add. So it doesn't reset like you have one student expires on this date and another one on that date. It starts the day that you pay for the subscription, and then it will be 1 calendar year, and you can add as many students that live in your same household. Um, there's a story behind that I won't go into, but let's just say that's what that is to make that affordable. So that's where you go. And if you have additional questions you didn't get answered on this call, as far as for me, you can go to my contact us page, fill that out, and send me an email, and I'll be happy to answer your questions that we didn't get to.
Fantastic. Um, I will share my screen one last time and just mention that it's not too late to enroll for 26-27. We do have some classes that are filling up, but there's definitely room for your student to join us for next school year. So if you are still looking for the right fit, we would love to work with you and see what courses might help you as you fill out your homeschool transcript. Okay, it's been a great evening, and we really appreciate you joining us. Have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.